Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Little fun fact for y'all. Turns out, not a lot of bands release new music in the first week of fucking January. So instead, why don't we kill some time by looking back at some classic records from Mastodon with the help of Quest for Metal. And if by chance you like what this little duo has to offer, then may I recommend you stay tuned, because we may or may not already have yet another video ready for you. Quest for Metal may be putting the finishing touches on it right now. It might even be online already by the time you find this video. I don't actually know, because we didn't really coordinate on this. We probably should have. The point is, stay fucking tuned. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Hell yeah, man. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Shitty news about Alexei.
Oh,
Great way to
fuck.
start the day.
God, you know what? With that in mind, before we go any further, let's have a drink in his honor. There we
Yes.
go. Booyah.
I got water, which is definitely not as good as whatever you're opening.
That's okay.
Wow.
Water's perfectly fine, too. I don't judge. Cheers, good sir.
Cheers.
That sucks, honestly, man. I remember seeing Mastodon back in 2013 on the Mayhem tour when we used to have that. It was a cool show, man. I never really got super into their stuff, but they're always a band I've been really aware of.
Yeah, I've only seen them once as well, and I remember someone's leg breaking in half during the mosh pit. That was always fun.
Someone's leg breaking in half during a mosh pit?
Yeah, during Children of Bodom mosh pit.
Jesus Christ.
Specifically them.
That's fucking insane. How does that even happen?
I don't know, but it was like the kneecap, so like the bone was like sticking out the kneecap, which is...
Oh, God.
They were like limping off. Everyone was just like, what the...
I've seen people get hurt in mosh pits, but nothing that bad. I think the worst was when a buddy of mine fell on a glass bottle when we saw Carcass years ago, and I had to pick glass out of his back for like 30 minutes.
God. I only just realised that Carcass isn't Canadian. I always thought they were Canadian because
because
one
me?
of your favourites. I was like, yeah.
That's a fair assumption. That's totally fair. No, they're British.
And then I realised that, they came from where I was born, and I was like, huh.
Yeah, I guess they're a mix, because like their guitarist Michael Amott's a Swede, so. But primarily a British band. But yeah,
British.
Yeah, we can call them Canadian. They're awesome. Everything Canadian's awesome.
Yeah.
So
I'll just pretend they're Canadian. I'll just pretend they're Canadian.
Yeah, that's fine by me. Who am I to argue? Welcome to the Metal Meltdown, good sir. Today we're going to talk about some fucking classic Mastodon records. Are you pumped?
Hell yes, I'm pumped. Love Mastodon.
Hell yeah. For those of you at home, we're recording, by the way, good sir. In case that
No
wasn't
worries.
clear. For those of you at home, if you somehow don't know, you've had your head under your ass for 20 years, or maybe you're just brand new to heavy metal. Mastodon is an American heavy prog sludge metal band. They've been kicking around for just about 20 years now, and are arguably responsible for some of the best heavy metal of the 21st century. We are going to be talking about all 7 of their studio albums. We're not going to be focusing on the compilations or EPs, mostly because there's just not much of a point, because there isn't a lot. We're going to start, obviously, with their debut album, Remission, which came out, I have to look this up, I had it and then I lost it. Came out May 28th, 2002 via Relapse Records. Holy shit. How old was I when this came out? I was like 7 years old, I think, when this came out. Holy fuck.
I'm guessing you didn't listen to it when you were 7
No,
years
I
old.
did not. Well, no, God, no. At this point, like, I was in school, and the rock that was going around at school was, like, Linkin Park and Fall Out Boy and Green Day and a lot of that stuff. I was kind of like, eh. So, Mastodon was definitely not on my radar. But eventually
If you listened to this as a kid, it'd put some hairs on your chest.
Oh, absolutely. I'm pretty sure I would have immediately become a man had I listened to this as a child. Your thoughts on this record right away?
So I did a ranking for Mastodon, and I had this last, but on re-listening, I actually really dig this album now. So it's actually gone up my rankings quite a bit.
Okay.
It's not as refined as, say, Blood Mountain or Leviathan, but it's crushingly heavy. And I don't want to sound like a caveman, like, ugh, heavy means good, but I don't know, I've just really got into some of these songs. March of the Fire Ants, especially, is so catchy. I love that riff at the beginning of March of the Fire Ants.
Oh yeah,
Sexy.
This whole album is just a fucking gut punch. It's like being hit with a cinder block. It does lack the refinement, the technicality, the expansion of some of Mastodon's other records, but who fucking cares? I mean, the riffs are just banging. Those hooks are just banging. The production is fantastic. Every single moment of this record is covered in crust and sludge and grime and stale whiskey. It's just a fucking hammer to the head constantly.
That's a good description.
Thanks, I worked hard on it.
That's a great description. But yeah, some of these songs are so crushing, like Crusher Destroyer. I mean, it has Crusher in the name. Of course it's crushing.
Mm-hmm. And Where Strides the Behemoth, Trampled
Hell
Under
yeah.
Hoof, Mother Puncher, man.
Mother Puncher.
What a twisted little beast of a fucking thing. There are parts of this record that almost remind me of a lot of metalcore and mathcore of the time. Like it parts of this doesn't even sound like the Mastodon that we would come to know as Mastodon. I kind of like that, to be honest, because as much as I like Crack the Sky and other records like that, I don't want to just listen to a bunch of prog metal, and we're seeing a much more juvenile and a much more rambunctious kind of Mastodon here.
Yeah, it's good to have different eras. I like when bands have different eras you can go to, because if you're bored of the prog era, you can just go back and listen to Remission or Leviathan or, any of the early albums. So I like when bands have different sounds to their albums, like Mastodon does.
There's I've heard people say that the first 4 albums all have concepts. This one apparently is the concept of fire. I've never really fully understood it per se. It's fire-y, I guess, because it's super heavy. Maybe you can help me clear this up. How do you feel about that?
I never knew it was about fire, but it has March of the Fire Ants on, and it has the cover art. It's kind of fiery. It looks like, I don't know what it is on the cover.
It kind of looks like
some kind of flesh fire.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a stallion that's like been lit on fire, but the fire is also kind of infused into the body. So it looks like...
It is very cool art.
It either looks like the flesh itself is turning into fire, or there's like some kind of gaping fucking wound there and the fire is emerging out of that.
See, I never saw that as fire. And now you've told me that it's fire, I can kind of see it now. So I never got the fire theme for this album. It just never struck with me, to be honest.
I always saw it like artistically and aesthetically, but like, it's I never really felt it so much musically. That's where I was lost. But I don't know. It's not as if you need a story per se to sell it. Like I guess if they were like, oh, the fire, then maybe it'd be a little heavy-handed.
That's true. Yeah, if they threw it in your face, shoved it in your face, a bit too heavy-handed, like you said.
I mean, for me, this record is a good, strong 3.5 out of 5. Like, nowhere near as technical or progressive or ambitious as other records, but just a damn fine piece of nasty, savage American metal riffery. I challenge someone to find something sonically as heavy as this in 2002. I mean, the only other thing that comes to mind to me is like some of the early Lamb of God, but even they weren't playing shit like this.
That's true. If I'm going by your scoring, I'll probably give it a 3, just because of how good the next 2 ones are. I gotta give this a knockdown just for how good they are. I can't give everything like a 5.
Totally.
Sorry, just get a 3 for me.
What do you mean? That's like your thing. You and Jamie.
Again.
That's your thing. You and Jamie. Everything's a 5.
It's a new year. There's no more 10 out of 10s and 5 out of 5.
Hey, a 3 out of 5, a 3.5 is perfectly respectable. I would be honored if I was in a band and someone gave it a 3. I'd be like, hell yeah.
Yeah,
Because
that's a good score.
the way I see it, if I give something a 3.5 out of 5 or higher, that means I'll buy it on vinyl, pretty much. So I don't understand people being like, what the fuck, you didn't give it a 5? And I'm like, what's wrong with a 3?
Yeah, I think it's because you do the 5s instead of like 10s. Because what's a 3.5 out of 5 compared to a 10? That's like a 75%, 80%, something like that.
Yeah, kinda. But that's also kind of why I never did the 10s, because I have found at least, when you do the 10s, you get that one guy who goes, I don't know, it's more of a 7.2 than a 7.5. But
7.152.
yeah, exact. I have found that people are less inclined to do that when it's just 5. But hey, everyone fucking score how you like. I truly don't care at the end of the day.
Good point.
I guess moving on then, Remission, going on to Leviathan, the band's second studio album, released August 31st, holy fuck, 2004. 31st. That's the alcohol coming up already to say hello. Via Relapse Records. This thing's wild. This is a concept album once again about water, but it's also more specifically a semi-retelling of Moby Dick. This is Mastodon beginning to flex a little bit of their progressive muscle. The songcraft is more epic. The production is bigger. The story is actually pretty engaging and interesting for those of you who actually follow it and don't just, oh, big riff, me like, your thoughts on this thing initially?
So initially, when I first heard it, because I got into Mastodon through Crack the Sky, and then I listened to the Hunter, and I listened to all the newer ones first. So I was more into prog when I got into Mastodon. So the earlier albums was kind of like, it's pretty good. But now I can appreciate like a lot heavier music. So this sound of this is perfect. Like, it's so goddamn good, and the whole concept around it is amazing. Just like Ahab's Call of the Wretched Sea, both about Moby Dick. I love that kind of watery theme, and I feel like there's a whale core. There should be a whale core with Mastodon's Leviathan, Call of the Wretched Sea, and Gojira's what's it called?
From Mars to
from
Sirius.
Mars to Sirius. Yeah, there should be whale core.
Whale core. I'm down with that. Are there other bands
every
in
song
whale core?
On this,
would a band like Leviathan count as whale core because that's kind of sea creature-y, or is that something else?
I think that's something else.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, you probably find some other ones. But yeah, the concept as a whole, it works perfectly. I think it works better on this than it does on Remission.
Because
Definitely.
Here there's an actual story being told instead of just, it's the concept of fire or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the songs bleed into each other really nicely in this one, and I think it's just a great concept album overall.
And I mean, the music, just looking at that objectively, is fucking insane. I mean, Megalodon, Iron Tusk, Aqua Dementia, I Am Ahab, the opening cut, Blood and Thunder, is, no pun intended, one of the most thunderous fucking things I think Mastodon have ever put out. Like, that lead riff right before the breakdown where it's like, that's just fucking incredible. And the drum is
just
piercing.
The main riff.
Oh god, yeah, it's just crushing, and those vocals, really heart-aching vocals across the entire record, surprisingly very emotive. I mean, this is Mastodon really becoming Mastodon, stepping away from the more hardcore, riff-heavy fucking nonsense of Remission and beginning to sound a lot more like the band that we recognize today.
Yeah, I agree. Also, just to reiterate how good Blood and Thunder is, when he goes into that speaking section where he's like, look him straight in the eye!
Yes.
When you see the white whale! It's so good.
When you see the white whale! And he fucking stretches every single note as if he's yelling out at sea.
This is my favorite Mastodon song. Just, it is. It's easily my favorite.
Oh, top 5 for me, honestly. It's I don't know about number one, but definitely at least top 5. It is a crushing fucking tune. Definitely their most epic. I can't think of anything else
Yeah,
that makes
yeah.
me want to just riot the way this thing does.
It just makes you want to like strip off, run into the sea, and start harpooning loads of animals. But I don't recommend that, so
Oh
don't
yeah.
go do that.
No, I recommend it. Go off. Go fight an ocean creature. Go do it. Go find a shark or a whale or a fucking, I don't know, some ancient fucking...
Platypus.
Yeah, go find something. Just kill it. Do it. And then make a fucking chowder out of it. I remember too. I remember too seeing Judas Priest years ago, and Mastodon was opening for them, and the whole crowd was really.
Damn, that's good.
I mean, it was for me, but the crowd was really confused because it was a lot of like older guys, and they were like, "I don't get it. This isn't hard rock. This isn't British steel. This isn't Living After Midnight. What is this?"
I fucking hate fans like that.
Yeah, they were just like, "I don't get it," and they were the proggy stuff was fine for them, but this song, and for that matter, there was Mother Puncher as well they played. Those two songs, they were just like, we don't get it. This is too weird, too loud, too nerdy. I think me and my buddy Moose were the only ones there that were like, what the fuck? This is awesome. Fuck all y'all.
Yeah, so there's no mosh pits. For
No.
Blood and Thunder, what's going on?
But I mean, hey, the other times I saw Mastodon, they played these songs and they fucking killed it. Like, just the whole crowd was super into it. I almost got fucking trampled seeing them with Gojira.
Oh, fuck. Mastodon and Gojira, that's 2 parts of the whale core.
Yeah, that's the Whale Corps tour right there. Cavellertech was on that tour as well, so they're honorary Whale Corps.
They're like Owl Core.
They're out. We're gonna have Animal Core. It's gonna be like the new heavy metal tree.
Yeah, there we go.
I love this thing. This is a defining album for the 21st century of metal, for the 2010s. For me, this is a 4.5 out of 5, damn near close to a 5. It is as close to perfect as an album can be.
I'll give it a 4, just because the next one I like more. That's the only reason.
Totally fair. I like seeing this very diplomatic side of Quest for Metal. Just like, nope, I'm gonna build up to it.
Because we'll get to that. We'll get to the next one.
I guess with that in mind, let's just jump right into it. Blood Mountain, released September 12th, 2006, released via Reprise and Relapse Records. Another concept album. This one is about the Earth.
Oh, yeah.
I think I know what you're going to say, so I'll just let you go ahead and start. How do you feel about Blood Mountain?
It's fucking awesome.
I had a feeling you were going to...
The reason I like this one a bit more than Leviathan is that all the songs stand on their own, in my opinion. Like, Leviathan, I listen to it as a whole, and some of the songs stand on their own, like Blood and Thunder and stuff like that, but, like, The Wolf is Loose, Crystal Souls, Sleeping Giant, Colony of Birchmen, they all stand on their own. I can listen to them out of order, and it's still fucking awesome, whereas with Leviathan and Crack the Sky, I like to listen to them as a whole package. And that doesn't mean that they're bad, it just means that this one has so many hits on, and they're heavy and proggy, that I don't know, I just love this one. I just love it.
I feel that. Truth be told, of the early records, this one took a long time for me to get really into. And I don't even really have a great explanation as to why. It just never quite stuck with me. But that being...
That's interesting, because I thought this was the most mainstream out of them.
I mean, of these early records, definitely. But for some reason, maybe it's because I grew up listening to, like, prog, so I was already a little bit of a prog nerd. I don't...
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's the closest thing I can think of. But don't worry, folks. I'm not going to sit here and say this is a bad record, because it's fucking not. It's still a very well-made fucking album from start to finish. The songs are super well written. The production on this thing is amazing as well. It's so natural, so crisp. It honestly feels and flows kind of like a live album. Like, something about this just doesn't feel like a studio album.
Yeah, I get that. It does have a different sound to it compared to the previous two.
And I do like it, don't get me wrong. And I especially like seeing some weird, like, collaborations on here, like Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age, and Isaiah Owens, who does a weird keyboard solo on the final track, and, you know, Cedric from the Mars Volta. This is them continuing to get weirder, beginning to settle a little bit more into the proggy stuff, and abandoning a little bit of the sludgy heavy metal stuff, which I guess that's also kind of why, because I love those fucking big riffs from Remission and Leviathan, but I guess to be fair, there are still quite a few big fucking riffs on here. I mean, Colony of Birchmen and Crystal Skull are probably two of Mastodon's best songs.
My favorite song on this one is Sleeping Giant. And it's probably because of the reason you don't like this one as much. Because it's more proggy. Like, that one's just so, like, ethereal, and it sounds like it could fit well in Crack the Sky. Sleeping Giant. I love that. I love that song.
That actually brings up a good point. I maybe on some level I'm kind of thinking, like, because Crack the Sky, minor spoiler alert, was my introduction to Mastodon, whereas this kind of feels like the stepping point to Crack the Sky. So, I don't know, maybe that's part of why it's not fully resonated with me after all these years.
Maybe, but I started with Crack the Sky as well, so...
So maybe I'm just a dumbass? It's okay.
Hey, your words, not mine.
No, it's okay. I've said it plenty of times on the channel. This would not be the first time.
No, I mean, general consensus is Leviathan is the grand opus. Most people, well, a lot of people say it's either Leviathan or Crack the Sky.
Oh, I would agree with that.
Online and yeah. Blood Mountain's kind of in this weird period, in this weird zone where loads of people love it, but it's never anyone's best.
Yeah, I don't know anyone per se that would call this their best album. But for me, still a good album. I'd give it another 3.5 out of 5, but maybe not as enthusiastic as Remission.
Yeah.
Like, for me...
I'd give it a 4.5.
For me personally, it is probably closer to a 3, but just looking at the production, the musicianship, I'll be, you know, I'm not stupid. There's good stuff on here, so 3.5 out of 5.
That's good.
Even Mastodon's, even their weaker albums are still fucking great. But
hell yeah.
Here's an album that I don't think is going to require a lot of debate. I think I know what score you're headed to. I think you know what score I'm headed to. Crack the Sky, March 24th, 2009, released via Reprise, Sire, and Relapse Records. Clearly someone is recognizing that Mastodon's about to be the next big rock band and they're fighting over them. I'm just gonna say it. This is a perfect fucking album for me.
Same. It's 5 out of 5 straight away.
This is just... I don't even know how to describe it. I love every moment of this album. It has the flow, the maturity, the precision, almost of a symphony orchestra. It has incredible atmosphere. It is so ethereal, so spacey, so immersive, so warm, so inviting. It's still remarkably fucking heavy at times. The vocal layering, the vocal manipulation, all of these proggy guitars, the wild percussion. I could go on and on. I'm going to let you have a shot. How do you feel about this thing?
Oh, it's a journey. That's the word for it. It's like you said, an ethereal journey. Every song is just so spacey, and just every song works in tandem with each other, and none of them feels out of place, but it's just a journey. It's a journey. Oblivion. I mean, that chorus is so catchy.
Oh, it's so
and
divinations, fucking good.
Like the banjo.
And just like the even just the main hook of the whole album, where the Crack the Sky title comes in, where you have that beautiful bluesy guitar interlace with everything, and you hear Brent going, "The crack in the world is on the sky," and you hear the drums escalating in the background, and you hear some keyboards. It's epic. And I guess that brings up a good point, come to think of it. Brent, as a vocalist, not traditionally my cup of tea, but damn, he's got some great choruses on here. He fucking sells it.
I will say, I've seen Mastodon about 6 times live, and they're always hit and miss live. Not to throw shade, but sometimes they're amazing when I've seen them, and sometimes Brent's vocals are really fucking bad live. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is. It's always him. No one else sounds bad, but when he does that kind of like you did, sometimes it doesn't quite work in a live setting, especially on festival. He
probably does have the weakest vocals of the 4 of them. I have found that the bigger the venue, the worse they do, and it's not so much because it's not so much their fault. It has more to do with the sound mixing, and bands just tend to do better in smaller venues, typically speaking.
Because I saw them in a tent, and it was amazing. And then I saw them outdoor festival, and I was like, what?
Yeah, like the first time I saw them was at Mayhem Festival again, the same one where I saw Children of Bodom, actually. And it was a big amphitheater. Like, this is the kind of venue that Metallica and AC/DC and fucking Foo Fighters play when they come to town. And they were fine. They were by no means terrible, but of all the times I've seen them, it was probably the weakest performance.
Yeah,
Which is
anyway,
disappointing which is disappointing to even say, because they played mostly material from this album. Come to think of it.
Oh, that is so good.
Yeah, like they played. I think The Hunter had just come out, like it was only a year old, and they played like 3 songs from that, and the rest of it was Crack the Sky.
I must have seen them around the same time as you, because I saw them on the Hunter tour. So yeah.
But I mean, yeah, going back to Crack, I don't have a single nitpick with this album. I don't have a single complaint. Every single song, every performance on this thing is incredible. This is a 5 out of 5 for me. End of story.
Easily 5 out of 5. I reiterate your point. 5 out of 5. It's a perfect album. It's one of my favorite albums of all time, and yeah, it's perfect.
I did actually put this in my top 10 albums of all time video. Come to think of it, like, I love this goddamn thing.
Oh yeah, you did.
And I actually credit this thing with kind of helping introduce me to like progressive metal and stuff, because for a long time my idea of progressive metal was like Dream Theater and Tool, and these are bands that I'm not going to say anything because I know people love them, but these are bands that just have never resonated with me. They've done nothing for me. But, you know, Mastodon, I fucking love them. Love them with all my heart, and I love this album with all my heart.
Fuck yes.
Then moving on, that brings us to The Hunter, and I have a feeling this is where there's going to be a little bit more debate and a little bit more division. Everything beyond here is not as universally loved as the 4 albums, but I'm curious to see what you'll have to say. It's The Hunter, released September 27th, 2011. This is Mastodon's, technically their major label debut, as the album is put out by Reprise and Roadrunner Records. Mastodon ditches the concept album flow. They're going more for episodic stories contained within songs that do not connect together in the way that we expect prog rock and prog metal to connect. There's a lot more traditional songwriting on here. I've gone back and forth on this album over the years. How do you feel about this thing?
So I'm going to be controversial and say I really like this album. And I'm going to say I really like this album because it's so weird. It's the weirdest album they've ever done. Some of these, like even the song titles, like Octopus Has No Friends, Thickening, like the creature lives when he's just like in a swamp. Like,
Bedazzled Fingernails as well.
Lives.
Yeah.
It's Blasteroid. It's the weirdest one, and I like how unique this album is. It's obviously a big contrast to everything they've ever done. And at first I hated it. I hated it at first, but now I've come to just appreciate it. I'm kind of like Opeth's Heritage. It's different, but that doesn't mean bad.
I'm right there with you. This album, I don't know. I miss having the concept per se because they've done it so well, but at the same time, the episodic storytelling, the traditional songwriting, they found a way to infuse it with their proggy twists and turns, with their sludgy riffs, and it's got some of their best songwriting as a result. I mean, Blasteroid's fucking incredible. It's like the most...
Hell yeah.
It almost sounds like something I would expect out of like Japanese metal. It's just so utterly bizarre and spacey. Stargasm as well has that beautiful fucking chorus.
So good.
Even Black Tongue has like this really fucking hellish doom metal underbite to it that I really love. Even something more simplistic like Curl of the Burl. Man, that is a catchy fucking rock song.
It's just a curl of the burrow.
It's fucking fantastic. And I'd say that this album actually has, in my opinion, one of the most underrated Mastodon cuts, Bedazzled Fingernails. I love this song. It's got some of the weirdest bass playing Mastodon's ever had, some of their weirdest vocal layering and manipulation. It is just an utterly strange track, and I mean that in the best way possible.
Every song on here is strange, but that one especially is...
Oh, we lost him.
Hello?
Hi.
Okay, we're good. Back to the
Discord was like, no, it's too heavy. You can't talk about this.
Discord doesn't like the Hunter, guys. It doesn't like the Hunter.
Yeah, we've discovered how Discord feels about the Hunter. Hey, this is a divisive album. It's possible we're gonna get some people who are just like, no, Mastodon sold out on this thing. Mastodon fucking
Metal Trenches hates this album.
Does he really?
Yeah, in a couple of his videos, he slams the album, saying it's one of the worst.
Really?
By a band that he likes. Yeah.
Oh wow. I mean, it's not my favorite Mastodon album, but I don't even think it's their worst album. Like, not at all.
I don't think any albums are like really bad, to be honest.
No, this is a band that even their weaker stuff is still pretty fucking good. I mean, they don't have an album. Yeah. They don't have a Saint Anger per se, or a Risk per se, or Illa Divinum Insanus, or whatever else have you.
Jamie Horsley likes Illa Divinum Insanus.
And shame on him for that. Fucking shame on him.
He told me yesterday, because he's going through he's going to watch this. He's going through Megadeth. He said he really likes Risk as well, and I was like, what?
Really? Oh, I'm really pumped to see whatever he has to say about that, because that is, I mean, it's weird. I don't even hate it, but it's too weird for Megadeth. Megadeth should not be going in.
Yeah.
More so than any other metal band, Megadeth just needs to be Megadeth. Like, don't bother going into weird industrial alt-rock territory, because you just don't have the chops for it.
Exactly.
But
yeah, in regards to The Hunter, I think it's underrated. I think it's an underrated album.
I would agree with that. I mean, I would actually say, of all Mastodon's records, this is the one I'm most likely to play. Like, if I got a bunch of friends over, or if I'm just looking to chill out or something. It's the only album that doesn't require, like, a deep, heavy listen. It's the only album that...
Yeah.
Or one of their only, I should say.
I'd say this and Blood Mountain are the two that I could... Well, we'll get to another one.
To some extent, I could see Blood Mountain even paving the way for something like this, because Blood Mountain, while a concept album, does feel a little bit more...
It doesn't feel like a concept album to me.
No,
I don't know why.
It certainly doesn't flow as if it's one. It does feel
that's
more like... I mean, you don't really have traditional songs per se, but the songs are distinct. They don't connect the way that they do on Leviathan or Crack the Sky.
Yeah.
For me, this thing is... I'm almost tempted to go 4 out of 5 or 3, but I'm also tempted to go 3.5 out of 5. I'm not really sure where I want to go. So why don't you go first, and I'll decide how I feel.
I'm going to go 3.5 with this one. I do think it's really good, and I think I gave Remission a 3. Is that right?
I believe you did, yes.
Yeah, I prefer this. I'd rather play this than Remission. So yeah, 3.5 it is.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, I'm going 3.5 out of 5, but a pretty enthusiastic one at that. This would be a great entry point for anyone looking to get into Mastodon, and maybe you're not super into a lot of prog rock and prog metal. To anyone arguing that Mastodon sold out on this fucking thing, shut the fuck up. I don't even want to hear your argument. It's a lazy fucking argument. Oh no, they made money. Shame on them. Y'all are aware that rock stars have bills to pay, right?
Like, everyone needs money.
Like, what the fuck? Like, it's like, oh, they sold out. It's like, okay, so? Is it still good? I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, everyone knows that rock stars make the best music on drugs and alcohol, and the money's gonna pay them for drugs and alcohol.
Exactly.
So,
How else? That's how you make music. Name one band that was always sober that made good music. Name one, internet. Fucking name one. Straight edge shit doesn't count. Doesn't fucking count. Although Cancer Bats is rad, I'll give them that. But they're Canadian, so maybe I'm biased. And this brings us now to Once More Around the Sun, the band's 6th studio album, released January 24th, 2014, via Reprise Records. Once again, not a concept album. Once again, dealing with episodic storytelling, even more traditional song structure. Definitely a lot more accessible, I would say, this album in comparison to The Hunter.
Yeah, a lot more accessible. Less weird. I mean, there's still some weird cuts on it, but...
And I remember really liking this album when it came out. Like, really liking it, more than even The Hunter. But now, truth be told, I think this would be one of my least favorites from Mastodon. What would you say?
It is my least favorite now. I just none of the songs. Like, I never want to re-listen to the songs on this album. I don't know why. They're just not high on my replayability list. Like, loads from The Hunter, loads from, like, even Remission now that I really like, and Emperor, but there's nothing really on this that stands out, to be honest, for me.
There are some interesting collaborations on this thing that I kind of like. Like, Aunt Lisa has the coat hangers and Gary Lindsay, which is just weird. Asaic Owens shows up again on Asleep in the Deep. And
that's my favorite one.
Some of the tracks are fine. Like, I like the Motherload is a legitimately catchy song.
The music video for the twerking.
Oh, yes, they legit have, that's like a great music. I remember people were upset with that too. Like, there were a bunch of like
I remember that as well.
There are a bunch of dudes just like, what are these girls, what are twerking? Twerking is dumb. It's like, dude, shut up. It's ass and metal. What more do you need? Like,
yeah, they're taking the piss out of modern day pop music videos.
It was great. And when they actually did the Adult Swim Festival earlier this year, and when they played this song, a bunch of fucking girls showed up and started twerking with like all this fucking New Orleans Mardi Gras face paint shit all over their body. It was cool, man.
Oh, genius. I love it.
It was fucking brilliant. I'm sure they do it at this point just to piss off the people who complained about that video.
Oh yeah, 100%. I don't blame them. I'd do the same thing.
I would do, yeah, absolutely. I would do it specifically to piss those people off. Not even just as a reminder. I would start off doing it that way. But, you know, aside from those tracks, aside from those collaborations, there's just not really a lot that stands out on this album to me. I don't own this album on vinyl. It's one of the few Mastodon albums I don't own on vinyl. I've never wanted to own it on vinyl. They play the Motherload live, usually at all their shows, and I'm fine with that, but that's it. I have, and I will say as well, this album actually probably has one of Mastodon's worst songs. I fucking hate the song High Road. It is a terrible fucking song.
You take the high road now.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's very just generic. It's not that good. Asleep in the Deep, I really like. I really like Asleep in the Deep. I think that's the one with the cat video. Is that the one with the cat video? It goes trippy.
Think. I can't actually remember off the top of my head, but it is possible, because, I mean, Mastodon makes weird fucking music videos.
Yeah.
I
think that's probably my favorite, because it's weird. That's the only reason.
Yeah, I mean, I just, yeah, I don't even have much to say. This is just kind of a really boring, run-of-the-mill Mastodon album. It feels like... It feels like a regular radio rock band trying to make something in the vein of Crack the Sky. Like, they heard Crack the Sky and they said, dude, we have to fucking do that. And yeah. I'm just not feeling it. It's by no means terrible. It's just kind of okay. And for that reason, I'd give this a 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm with you. 2.5 as well for me. Because it doesn't do anything different than The Hunter. Because from Crack the Sky to The Hunter, there's a big difference there. And they progressed for the better or worse, but they definitely progressed. But from The Hunter to this, there's no like real progression there, so it's just kind of flat for me. So yeah, 2.5.
It feels like a real step back. Like, it just lacks spark, it lacks ambition, it lacks the charm of Mastodon. And, you know, the music's still fine. It's by no means produced or performed terribly. It's just not very interesting.
Damn straight.
And that brings us now to their... Wow, we are plowing through this. Holy shit. The Carcass one took an hour and a half. Yeah. I guess that's technically a good thing, though. This brings us now to their 7th studio album, Emperor of Sand. This is their most recent studio album, released March 31st, 2017, via Reprise Records. This one, much like The Hunter, I've gone back and forth on over the years. When I first heard it, I hated it. And then I loved it, and then I hated it again, and then I thought it was just kind of okay, and now I've kind of settled on okay. How about you?
I think it's a lot better than Once More Around the Sun. A lot better. But it's not as good as any of the others, so it's hard. Because there's some of these songs which I really like. Jaguar God is in my top 5 songs.
Oh, that's actually a great fucking song. And so is Scorpion Breath, for that matter. That song's amazing.
Precious Stones is cool. Ancient Kingdom is cool. Like, I like these songs, but the album as a whole, I just prefer other albums. So I don't think this is a bad one at all. I don't even think it's mediocre. I think it's pretty good, to be honest, for me.
This thing just always felt kind of incohesive to me. It never really flowed all that well.
Yeah, it doesn't flow, really.
No, it doesn't. It feels like they're still in the mindset of making an album like The Hunter or Once More Around the Sun, whilst trying to recapture the glory days of Leviathan and Crack the Sky, and it just doesn't really work for me. Which is a shame, because there's a lot of stuff on here I want to really like. I think to some extent this is their most intimate and emotional album. A lot of the stuff on this was inspired by personal loss, by the death of family and friends. And on top of that, there are some really great guest performances on here, like where is this motherfucker? I know I saw his name a minute ago. Mike Canale's on here. The dude's fucking awesome. Scott Kelly, of course, who, now that I'm realizing, is on every fucking Mastodon record.
Yeah, he's on every...
Kevin Sharp as well. Like, there's cool shit on here. I just really can't bring myself to love this thing for whatever reason, as much as I want to.
I think I'm more in the love side of it than you are for this one. I think this is like the only one where we're kind of different, I guess. Kind of.
It definitely sounds like we might differ on this. With that in mind, what would you give this thing?
Rating-wise, so I prefer this to Remission, but it's worse than Once More on the Sun. What did I give The Hunter? I think it's like 3.5.
I think we both gave it a 3.
3.5.
We both gave it a 3.5.
Yeah, so I'd give this the same as The Hunter, because I think I like it about the same as The Hunter, because some of these songs are some of my favorites, but it has my least favorite song on.
Your least favorite Mastodon song?
Yeah, it's on this one.
Which song is that?
Show Yourself.
Yeah, that was a pretty lame song. Better than
3 minutes, and it just constantly just like show yourself, and it's like, oh my god, shut up.
Yeah, it's definitely like in the radio rock territory. Maybe a little bit more magical, I guess. It's definitely not like Godsmack Nickelback shit, but it's not exactly like it's not exactly Crack the Sky either.
No, it's not like the Oblivion single.
No,
like,
not at all.
This single's just kind of like, what? This is your single? What are you doing?
But I think I would give this a 3, because I would agree that this is a better album than Once More Around the Sun. It does have some amazing fucking songs. Like, if y'all don't listen to the album, at the very least, go listen to Jaguar God and Scorpion Breath and a lot of the other songs that we have mentioned.
Yeah.
Because that stuff's fucking great. But the album as a whole just doesn't really do it for me. I find it to be really incohesive and inconsistent. So it is a 3, but it's not a very enthusiastic 3. Like, we are dangerously close to dropping a score entirely.
That's fair. I can see your arguments there, because if I'm being constructive, the album doesn't flow. It feels kind of jumbly. It sounds like they just throw the songs together with no real structure to the album.
Which is weird, because there's a concept that actually does connect it, and yet it still feels that way.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's all... I don't know, it's all jumbly to me. Maybe. But it's not as good as like Leviathan or Crack the Sky, obviously. But I still enjoy this album. I still give it a 3.5.
Maybe it's a sign that Mastodon needs to go back to like albums like The Hunter and stay away from concept albums and rock operas and all that. At least for me, that's kind of what I feel.
Yeah, either go back to like the sludgy / proggy days, or go full on progs, Crack the Sky kind of 11-minute songs, 20-minute songs. Don't do like all these 3-minute songs. I don't know. It feels weird.
I'm curious to see what the new Mastodon record would sound like. I feel like it will be closer to something like Emperor of Sand, but who knows? I mean, that EP they put out a couple years ago was cool. I really liked the compilation album they put out last year. There were a lot of neat songs on there. But who knows? Yeah, it did have like one brand new song too, and I can't remember the name of it. But I remember thinking, that's fine. That's cool, you know? I didn't love it, but I did.
Yeah, it wasn't anything it wasn't special. That new song they did. It wasn't special.
Yeah, it just kind of, it reminded me a lot of like the Gojira song, Another World, as well, where I was just kind of like, yeah, it's fine. It's not terrible. It's just fine.
Yeah.
Maybe they both
did way prefer the Gojira one, though.
I don't know.
Just because of the riff. Because I like riffs, and that riff in that Another World was so goddamn good. But the rest of the song around it,
yeah, like I thought the hook was so fucking weak on that thing. Like, just I don't know. I mean, I'm still generally pumped to hear both albums, but I would be more pumped if those songs were a lot stronger, and they weren't.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And I guess this kind of brings it to a final point. This is something we kind of talked about in the Carcass video. Me and Ty Tilly, we talked about where do we think Carcass should go from here? Should they retire? Should they keep going? Because Mastodon, not as old as Carcass, but they're getting up there. These guys are getting close to their 50s, you know? They're not playing at the same level they used to play, and especially now with COVID, who knows if they can. What do you think is next for Mastodon, and what should be next for Mastodon?
I think this should be a full circle. Them going back to their roots. I reckon, like you said, going back to either the sludgy days of Blood Mountain and Leviathan. Because if they bring out another belter like that, it'll just bring new life into the band, and then who knows? There might be like headlining festivals because they're up there. They're doing like sub-headlining and stuff. So
they're getting
maybe
big
they'll
enough.
be the new headliner.
They're getting big enough that they could play like they could headline a pretty decently sized festival. Maybe not something like Download per se, but I don't know, like a smaller festival. I struggle to think of a name, but I'm sure there's plenty out there. I don't know, pick one. Yeah. Come to think of it, they are probably like one of the defining bands for the 21st century of metal. I would say them, Gojira, Lamb of God, Slipknot.
Slipknot has transcended everyone you just mentioned. Slipknot headlines.
Oh, so absolutely.
They're like,
yeah.
They've already made it. They've already made it.
Those bands open for Slipknot, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah.
In fact, I come to think of it last year, or 2 years ago, technically, I even saw Gojira and Lamb of God opening for Slipknot, and that was a fucking wild show.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, remember concerts? Weren't those fun?
Yeah, I had one in like 2 months and it got cancelled.
Dude, I had so many concerts fucking booked last year, and I was actually gonna end up interviewing some guys at some of these shows as well. I had planned to interview a member of Mayhem when the Mayhem tour came through here, Megadeth and the Lamb of God tour. So much shit. It fucking sucks, dude.
Yeah.
But
things ain't getting better. And worse.
Oh, it doesn't look like. I mean, I can only speak for how it's going here in Canada, but it ain't going better in Canada. It's not. We're beginning to fuck it up hardcore. We've only distributed like 4,200 vaccines, which is fucking stupid. That's fucking ridiculous. But hey, no one wants to hear about that. That's getting off topic, and that's sad. And that's
true. It's true. We're here for metal.
Yeah, we're here for metal. Yeah, that's what we're here for. If you were to rank the Mastodon albums again, how do you think you would do it? Like from worst to best.
So worst is obviously Once More Around the Sun.
I would agree with that.
Then Remission.
Okay.
You wouldn't agree. I doubt you'd agree with that one, but I really like it now. It's definitely a step up from Once More, but I don't listen to it as much as Emperor of the Sand, which would be next. Then it would be what did I put next? Then The Hunter would be next.
Okay.
Then Leviathan, Blood Mountain, which are very neck and neck, to be honest. Leviathan and Blood Mountain are really neck and neck. I could have put them in the same score. Then Crack the Sky's way top.
The rest of them aren't even close. It's way up there.
It's a perfect album. I can't say the others are perfect, but Crack the Sky's perfect.
I think for me, Once More Around the Sun at the bottom for me, Emperor of Sand, followed by, God, I don't know, maybe Blood Mountain, then The Hunter, then Remission, Leviathan, but then once again, way at the top, not even close, is fucking Crack the Sky.
Hell yeah.
That really is just like a timeless, perfect fucking album. If People ask me what a 5 out of 5 album is, and I describe it as Crack the Sky. It's just a masterpiece of an album.
Yeah, easily. And there'll be a lot of comments that, because a lot of people hate that Crack the Sky is so popular, they much prefer the earlier sound, which fair enough. They don't like the proggy sound. They prefer like Remission and Blood Mountain and Leviathan. So there'll be a lot of comments
but there
shitting on Crack the Sky.
There are people who hate it because it's popular?
Yeah.
What a bunch of assholes.
People, if anything's popular, someone will hate it.
Oh, that's true. Like... Yeah, fuck. It's mainstream. I don't know. Apparently Mastodon sold out, but I have yet to hear them on pop radio, so, you know, whatever.
That's true. I hear Metallica. I don't hear Mastodon.
Yeah, I don't know. That whole, it's like, oh, they sold out argument. It's like, whatever, man. Like, it's just a lazy excuse to just like, oh, I don't like it because it's different. But, you know, no, which isn't to say there aren't valid reasons to dislike Crack the Sky. I'm sure people have valid reasons, but if your reason is it's popular, it's mainstream, shut the fuck up. Get a fucking life.
Yeah, exactly.
If
people don't like it because it's too long, some of the songs, which, yeah, there's like 11-minute songs, 10-minute songs. Some people don't have patience for that.
If you're not a prog fan, this would probably be your least favorite Mastodon record because it's their most progressive.
Yeah.
So I understand that, but again, if you're just it's sold out, fuck you, get out of here. Call me when Mastodon make a straight up pop album, then we'll talk if they sold out.
Oh, they're gonna do that now for you.
You know what? I would almost be pumped to hear that because I bet they would pull it off.
They probably would.
Like I don't know. We're getting like mainstream pop has been actually kind of decent these last couple of years, and Mastodon's a good band. I'm willing to bet that maybe if they went that route, maybe they'd pull it off. Who knows?
If they do, they have to do a pop music video with some black metal guys headbanging in the background
instead of like girls twerking and shit.
Yeah,
that's a great idea. I'm picturing like a really poppy like that Lady Gaga song "Rain on Me," but with those 4 guys singing, and then just a bunch of like black metal dudes in chainmail and corpse paint show up. They start fucking like they sacrifice a goat, like a real goat, in the video, and they drink its fucking blood. But it's like
so it's like a Behemoth video in the background.
Yes, exactly. Fucking Ariana Grande walks in, and they're just like, yeah, this is what we're doing now. God, I actually want this now. I'm making some calls.
Yes. Mastodon, do the pop album.
Do the pop album, goddammit. Alright, I think that's it for me on my end. Any final comments about Mastodon, the glorious Mastodon?
No, I think we're good. Mastodon is a great band. If you don't know them, go fucking listen to them.
I couldn't have summed it up any fucking better. That is fucking brilliant. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We just reviewed every Mastodon album. Let us know what your least favorite album from them is, your most favorite, your fucking whatever's in the middle. Tell us whether we're wrong, that we're full of shit, that we sold out. Go for it. I don't care. If you're not familiar with Quest for Metal, go subscribe to him, but you probably are. If by some chance you're brand new to me, subscribe to me as well. And as always, y'all have yourself a fantastic fucking day.